You read international forecaster, you will get it, but there's very few places you will find it. Now, that is leading to governments starting to subsidize exports, and they're also starting to put up trade barriers. That's China and Russia and other countries. And I think that is going to expand in 2009 and 2010. And the reason being is that all the nations are going to be on the edge, and they're all going to have terrible problems because they've all been all doing the same wrong thing. And like, on average, we'll call it the G20, have been increasing their money and credit by an average of about 14% for about 4 years. And the Federal Reserve has been doing it about 6 months longer than that. And they're all cooperating, and they're all doing this together. So I guess they're all going to go broke together. And the only way that can be stopped is by other nations with their protective devices forcing the U.S. Congress to implement trade barriers and tariffs on goods and services. And I think that is one of the main solutions to America's problem of having its industry and part of its services destroyed.
Right.
Okay, Ray, anything else you want to say before we let you go?
So is there any possible way to stabilize the monetary system through changes in the, in the currency, in the whatever?
Ray, I don't think there's any way to stabilize it.
Going back
no, unless we go back to a gold-backed currency.
Yeah, that's what I
mean.
mean.
Of course, there's no way that the bankers, the central bankers, a privately owned central bank are going to give up their power voluntarily.
They don't.
They're going to have to be cited for subversion, and that's the only solution. Hey, we're going to let you go.
Okay,
we got Rory over there in Los Banos. Hi, Rory. How are you doing?
Hi, Dr. Stan and Bob. It's always nice to hear Mr. Chapman's view on the radio. I've got a question and that I'd like to ask, and I'll hang up and listen to the answer on the air. But my question is, what is holding up the stock market? What's propping it up? I look at the Yahoo Financial News every day, and it's all been negative for months. I mean, all the major stories are bad as far as the economy, but the market seems to be able to stay up. And, of course, it took that dive in October and another one, and I think it was in November, but it kind of came back up. I can't understand what continues to hold it up. In my view, it ought to be down around 7,000 to 7,600 right now.
Rory, if something doesn't make sense, then there's got to be another explanation. I'm going to let Bob tell you why the market has not plunged well down, even below 700. Bob, what's holding the market up?
The United States government.
Amen to that. See, that basically it's all manipulated.
And in 1988, what happened was that President Reagan was talked into, because of the collapse in the stock market in October of 1987, that we need powers within the Treasury so that if this happens again, we can step in and stabilize markets. And he bought it, and it was an executive order, and a group called the Working Group on Financial Markets was formed under that umbrella. It's also called the Plunge Protection Team. And they were semi-active during the 80s, and they really didn't start to get deeply involved in the markets until around 1992 and onward. And in the last 10 years, they've been super active, 24/7. They're in every market in the world trying to shape what's going to happen from one market to another throughout the time zones every day. And they have the ability to create money and manipulate the market. Now, the market is very, very large. The bond market's 10 times bigger than the stock market, so it's far more important. And it was very, very dangerous for the Treasury and the Fed to drive interest rates down to where they are right now. If you're buying 1 or 3 or 6 month paper, you're getting virtually no yield. Even the 2-year paper is only 0.83%, and they've got the 10-year notes down to 2.20. They're about 2.48 right now, and I expect that to be 4% before the year is out. But they've done these different things under the guise of saving the markets, but they've abused the whole thing. And what they've done is use this executive order to do anything they want in the markets, and that's why the stock market is where it is. That's why gold is not selling at $2,000 to $3,000 an ounce, or silver at $50 to $100 an ounce, because our government is a bunch of crooks. And
I think the answer very simply is, Roy, it's all manipulated. And you go up on the internet and look up the Working Group on Financial Markets, or go to Wikipedia. The Working Group on Financial Markets, the Plunge Protection Team, they manipulate the commodity market, they manipulate the stock market, they manipulate the price of gold and silver, and they manipulate our reality. God bless. Thanks very much for calling, Roy, and we'll be back in just a moment with Bob Chapman to wrap up the program. Well, Bob, you've got 3 minutes to wrap up the program for us.
You know, Stan, I've heard that before. You always give me the easy job.
That's right. Well, look, I appreciate that. I appreciate you coming on with us. Go ahead.
Well, I've given some of my ideas where I think things are going in the market, with bonds, with interest rates, with gold. Politically, there's been absolutely no change. It's like Team A has left the scene on the 20th of January, and Team B has come in. And as you've cited, they all belong to the same gangs, CFR, Trilats, Bilderbergers, et cetera, Skull and Bones. We don't want to leave them out, in the Group of 30 and so on. And we have government by a coterie of people who control everything. And how we're going to break that, I don't know. Now, one of the things that happens when you deliberately collapse a system is that you open the window of opportunity not only for yourself as an illuminist, but you also open the window of opportunity for the opposition as well. And so you have a time period in which anything goes, like the old Cole Porter song. And so it's very, very dangerous for these people to do this, because they can have serious problems for doing it. And I think they're going to. And they're going to have to implement a war. They're going to have a draft. You see them suppressing our rights. I think the whole world is going to have economic and financial trouble. I don't think any nation is going to be in any position to ship their troops to the United States to help the United States to suppress internal rebellion, which I think we'll have. And, I get letters from people every day to that effect, and we're ready and that sort of thing. And I think it's where it's all going to end up. And I think the bad guys are going to lose again. Only this time we're not taking any prisoners.
Well, Bob, I certainly hope it never comes to that. What we need to do, of course, is get the majority of the people to understand how important freedom is, and the fact that it's being stolen, and that the Trilateral Commission and the Council on Foreign Relations and the Bilderbergers are subversive organizations intent upon destroying the sovereignty of our nation, just like the communists. Well, we're out of time, Bob. Good night. God bless, and we'll talk to you the first of next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Stan. Good night.
Well, this is Dr. Stan back here at Radio Liberty, and of course this is the time when I have to remind our listeners across America that Radio Liberty is primarily listener-supported, and if you're in a position to help us, we'd love to hear from you. Some of our listeners are having real financial problems, and I just had a fellow call in today. Been with us, remember the Radio Liberty family of supporters, but his wife's been off work for a year, and he's, of course, retired, and they're having real financial problems. He had to drop out, and we certainly understand that sort of a situation. So if you're out there and you'd like to become part of the Radio Liberty family, why, there's a few more seats at the table there. So give us a call at 1-800-544-8927. You can join the Radio Liberty Tape of the Month Club, or you can simply subscribe to the newsletter, or really what you would like to do to help us any way that you possibly can. If you can't afford to help, then your job is to tell others about what's going on